All right. Good day and welcome to Brite Bites, the show where we have bite sized conversations with friends about benefits. I'm your host, Spencer, and on the show, we'll skip the 2 hour deep dives and have short, candid convos with the people shaping the employee benefits world. We'll get straight to it. One serious topic, one chance to share real insight from the field, and one fun question to keep it light there at the end. Whether you're a broker, an HR leader, a carrier partner, a tech builder, someone who lives and breathes benefits, or someone who's just a little bit benefit curious, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Today, we are joined by Dani LeBlanc. Dani currently serves as a client service associate with Gallagher Benefit Services in Idaho. Dani, welcome to Brite Bites. We're really glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and jump right into it as advertised. So, we're going to start with a little bit more of a serious topic. You've been involved in and you've seen a lot of open enrollments up close. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going to separate the ones that run smoothly from the ones that become chaotic?
So I think clear, cohesive communication, like within the client internally, as well as with our team at Gallagher. Chaos seems to start bubbling up when like our client has people that maybe are not on the same page as each other, or like maybe someone missed a call and didn't get brought up to speed. They have difference of opinions or whatever it may be. If the client's decision makers don't have cohesive communication internally, things can get chaotic pretty quickly. And then I guess along those same lines, if we at Gallagher don't clearly communicate our processes and like our timelines on how much time it will actually take to accomplish certain tasks, chaos also can ensue. So I think clear, cohesive communication from the start and a good understanding of timelines and processes definitely will help things run a lot more smoothly.
Fantastic. I love that. Clear communication is you mentioned it more than once in that response. So
Yeah.
obviously that's an area where maybe you've seen some good things and some bad things happening. And I love how you brought up just how you are aligning expectations with the client. And I think along the lines of the communication topic, there's a lot of different forms of communication, right? And I imagine a lot of different stakeholders get involved in this on both sides, both on the client side and on your team inside. What sort of tools or tactics have you seen implemented successfully that make sure everyone's on the same page and aligned when it comes to both those expectations, who's doing what, and that those communications are flowing back and forth in a clear fashion?
Sure. I think whenever we have calls with clients, we'll always send a follow up email with points that were discussed and action items for each person that need to be completed, just as kind of like a roundup, I guess, to keep everything on track and make sure that expectations are understood and
Yeah.
to keep things moving forward.
Love it. So having someone take point, having someone kind of be the lead there and making sure that at the end of any action that there's a recap roundup and that you're outlining the next steps. Sounds simple, but I'm sure it's something that goes a long way when done correctly. Love it. Love it. Well, let's pivot a little bit and just talk about you and your personal experience. So you've clearly seen this done a lot of times. And you've probably seen scenarios where plans fall flat, and other times when kind of the plans are being executed in the right way, where things are working the way as intended and outcomes are being delivered to make all parties happy. What's something that most people still get wrong when it comes to designing the benefit education or the content that goes along with the plans that they've set in place?
Sure. I think a lot of us that work in the benefits world or like in HR positions, we forget that a lot of people don't actually have a solid understanding of like basic insurance terminology or concepts. So when we go into like extreme detail with any of our benefits education tools, a lot of the information that we are trying to convey just kind of gets lost in translation because people are missing terms and they're like, just tune out because they're like, I don't
Mhm.
know what is being said. So I think going back to the basics and just including like a simple terminology page or um, something like how the plans work or a blurb with like tips and tricks on how to use your HSA or, things that seem maybe simple to us, but are actually really helpful to someone that isn't working with insurance or benefits every day. So I've definitely heard a lot of feedback from clients saying that they love those small little education pieces. Just terminology is really helpful in getting people to understand and feel confident in choosing a plan that best fits their needs.
I love that. And as a person who is relatively newer to this side of the industry, I can attest from my personal experience that there is a lot of jargon. There's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's sometimes an assumption that generally other people are highly benefit literate, if you will, where there's a lot of different kind of nuances that if we assume the employee or kind of the end users that we're reaching just understand it. That's an assumption that could maybe lead to greater confusion, and greater confusion is going to lead to not so great outcomes. So I love some of those scenarios, the specifics that you added. I think when we talk about benefit education, there's a lot of content that goes into it, and that content oftentimes is really dense, right? It's like you're
Yeah.
reading a book with just so many little things in it, and you're like, okay, I just want to get to the part that actually matters to me. Like, how do I skip to that part? And I feel like the education isn't always designed to be bite sized or to be smaller in nature, so it's easily consumable for those of us that are used to consuming information on our mobile device or kind of in that social media style. So
Right.
I love those call outs and some really, really fantastic specific tactics that you threw in there. Amazing. Well, let's kind of wrap it up here with a little bit of a fun question. So this one's brought again by our producer Elliot. I'm reading this question. This is one that I've never been asked, so I'm curious to see how you respond to it as well. So what we have for you today, Danny, is what is something you are proud of but never have an excuse to talk about?
Let's see. I guess, well, something that I am most proud of. I did a through hike of the Tour de Mont Blanc in Europe. So it's 300 miles through the French, Italian, and Swiss Alps. My husband and I did that a few years back. And, when you think like, you hear 300 miles, you're like, how am I going to hike 300 miles? But once you get out there and you start doing it, you're just like, all I have to do is walk all day. I mean, it's challenging, yes, but once we got to some of the views and the lakes and meeting other people out on the trail, it was definitely one of my most proud accomplishments, and it was just breathtakingly beautiful. So really, really filled the soul.
Incredible, incredible. I love that. I have to ask, how long did the whole entire trip end to end take? 300 miles. That's quite a feat.
Yeah. It took about 2 weeks. We weren't hiking every single day. We hit some really rainy, foggy, nasty weather a couple of days, and so we decided to just hunker down in the tent because we didn't want to miss the views. So I think we actually finished it 11 total hiking days, but we were on the trail for about 2 weeks.
Amazing. What an experience. Really, really cool. I'm jealous, and I might have to ask you offline a little bit more about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible adventure, and I'd also love to know what's next as far as adventures that you have planned because it sounds like you get after it a little bit. 300 miles in the Alps. Wow,
Yeah.
incredible. Well, Danny, thank you so much for joining our pod here today. Really appreciate the insights that you shared, and for our listeners that may have an interest in getting in touch with you personally, is there a good way that they can contact you?
Yeah, email is probably the easiest way to get in contact. Danielle underscore LeBlanc at ajg.com. So, I am always here to answer any questions, or I love Brite. So if you need anyone to talk Brite up to your team, let me know. I'm happy to help.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, certainly appreciate you joining in. Appreciate your time and everything you shared as far as your personal experiences and tactical insights and fun adventure stories. So, thank you. Thank you. And for those tuning in, we'll catch you next time on Bright Bites. Take care.